So today we're going to be learning how to do a basic overlay in Photoshop Elements using two different images and imposing them over one another. So to start out, I'm going to go pick my images. Let's minimize. And I have my images over here in a folder. Hopefully you have yours nice and organized so you can find yours easily. I'm going to be choosing a portrait image with a landscape image. So I'm going to choose both of those, and then I can do a double click or a right click to open with Adobe Photoshop Elements. And they should pop right into your screen in your project bin here. I'm going to expand my screen, and now I can see that I have both images ready to go. To put them both into the same project, I'm going to use my Move tool over here in my toolbox. So I have that selected already. I'm going to click and drag over to the landscape, and before I plop it down, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and make sure I'm holding the Shift key while I unclick the mouse key. So now I have both of those images into one project. I can get out of this one. And now I can see over here in my Layers menu that I have the portrait image imposed over the landscape image. But as you can see, I have some border issues here. They're not the same size. So I'm going to expand this into my window by hovering over until I get that blue border and letting go. Now I can see the dotted line around the portrait image, and I can expand that to make it the full size. So now I don't have any of those borders peeking through. Hit enter to transform that. Now I still have my Move tool. I can drag this to where I'd like it, to where it looks nice. And I think I'm going to set it there. Now to do a basic overlay, the most simple form of an overlay is to have your top layer highlighted here in blue and go to your opacity menu here. I can drag my opacity down. Let's do it to 50%. And now we have a basic overlay with the bottom image showing through and still able to see our top image. Now I think that you can get some more interesting overlays with a different technique, but that is your basic overlay. So I'm going to bring my opacity back up by going down to my undo history and going back one step. Now, a more interesting way to create overlays is to go into this menu here, right to the left of our opacity tool. This right here is our blending mode menu. So if you click on that, you'll see a nice list here. And I would encourage you to play around with all of these different blending modes. There's a lot of fun things that you can do depending on the two images that you have chosen. Now I will tell you that using images that have these nice areas of solid black or dark color is a really fun image to use with overlays, and I'll show you why in a moment. But play around with these different blending modes on your top layer. Let me show you what a few of them can do. Overlays, the first one, you'll see how you get some nice high saturation colors pulling through from your background image. We can still see some nice contrast in our top image. It's just a little bit more interesting than simply lowering the opacity. Another one, let's try hard light. Now we can just see a little bit coming through here on the face. One of my favorite ones to use when I do have a nice contrast in blacks on the top image is to use multiply. Now we can see a good amount of the image behind, but we also have that nice dark coming through from our top portrait image with these blacks. So nothing that is black on the top image is going to allow the image below to show through, which can come out with a very cool portrait in this case. There are some other ones you can use in here that come out with a similar effect but with higher contrast, like color burn. Linear burn is similar but with a bit of a darker effect. So these are some different blending modes you can do. Like I said, play around with all of these, get a sense of what they can do. Depending on the images you use, you may like some more than others. So just play around with that, experiment, but that is a basic two-image overlay. Fairly simple, quick, play around with different images and see what they can do. Also, you can play around with what this image would do if it was layered above the portrait image. All right, have fun and see what you can do with overlays.